So, as you see, it is Halloween, and as Halloween is, we must do a spooky video. So it's going to be a spooky TF2 video, potentially even the scariest TF2 video that you've ever seen.
Because it's about contracts! I know, so scary.
Why is it scary? That's a fantastic question. Let's talk about that. Contracts right now seem to be one of the worst things for this Scream Fortress season, and this is coming from somebody who hasn't played the game in a few years, right? I played when contracts were first introduced, but I didn't really get to play with them all too much as the Scream Fortresses went forward. However, one thing that I have noticed with contracts is they seem to just slow down casual. Why is that? That's a fantastic question. Let's talk about it. Yeah, you're asking all the good questions, aren't you? Good job. But before we get into that, right, since you guys have to ask so many questions, I'll ask you guys a question. That's, will you like and subscribe, and maybe even become a member if you really want to, if you like this stupid personality I've got rolling. And I don't know how often I'll pull this out of my ass, but it'll happen eventually. But with that being said, contracts limit because they make you play a specific map. That's right. Because of how the contract system works, it encourages playing the same map over and over and over and over again. Now, if this was just a random map that gets pulled every game, that wouldn't be too bad. However, because we have to vote for a map, that tends to make it to where the map that you join in on dominates the voting queue. Why? Because you have a contract. You want your loot, and it's completely understandable. However, because you want your loot, it makes it to where everybody also wants their loot, and so when you don't want to play the same map 7 games in a row, it becomes a problem. Because everybody else wants to play that map because of the contract, not necessarily because they like the map. Like, I ended up playing Freaky Fair with Garrett. Here it is. I have all my contracts complete. I just played it for fucking fun. I wanted to show Garrett Freaky Fair. I had my contracts done. Garrett still had to do his contracts. It was a win-win situation. This round had been going on for 22 minutes at the starting of this recording. And now this video is not going to last the rest of the match, because I don't want to make a 20-minute video on contracts. However, that match lasted another 40 minutes. I think it's a 40-minute recording of that match. And don't get me wrong, I absolutely loved that match. That match was fun, it was enjoyable, it was a little bit too long, but I did enjoy it. But you do that, all the contracts are done, then people will start voting for different maps. What I think should be done with these contracts is make them more broad, right? Make it to where any contract can be done with any map, sort of. What I mean by that is, of course, I think the boss ones should stay, right? Killing Monoculus, Marasmus, and the Headless Horseman. I believe those are good contracts to have, because they're unique. They're unique bosses. You get to experience bosses. However, having map-specific ones are a little iffy to me. I believe they should be generalized contracts, i.e., pick up the Crumpkin, or get a Crumpkin kill, the explosive pumpkins that chances are you've died to once, twice, maybe thrice, and eventually got pissed off at. Pick up the pumpkin, the crit pumpkins, get kills on King of the Hill, payload race, control points, and things of that nature, right? I was gonna say also leveling up in Freaky Fair, or leveling up with the MVM system in multiplayer, but I think Freaky Fair is the only map that does that, to where it would be like, oh, collect cash, collect upgrades. Spending time as a specific class on a specific game mode doing a specific thing even, I think would be a good idea. Play Pyro for 2 hours, or get 100 points as Pyro in a control points map, or a King of the Hill. Contest the point, or contest the point isn't a good idea. Play the objective as heavy for such and such amount of time. Get such and such headshots with sniper. Get such and such Ubers. Save such and such character or players as medic. Get such and such explosive splash damage kills. Get such and such melee kills. Get such and such backstabs. Disguises such and such amount of characters. Things of that nature where it's a much broader way of doing it. And the only reason I say that is because we get limited amount of contracts anyways. All right, you can pay for contracts, but I believe for free contracts, we should have very broad, general contracts. So it doesn't limit the player to a specific map. Because limiting it to a specific map means, let's say I just want to play random jack-all maps, right? I want to go to Freaky Fair, then a different map, and then a different map, then a different map, which I tend to like to do because playing the same map 5 times over is a little boring, to be honest. I don't know if you guys agree with me. You guys probably agree with me because playing the same map 5 fucking times over is really boring. But if you play, say, Man Manor, and you get Eye Duct, and then Skull Island, or whatever the fuck the Marasmus mission is, and then Freaky Fair, and then a Zombie Infection, and then a Player Destruction, and then nobody likes Spineyard, I believe it's called, but you get Spineyard, and you get the shitty map, and then you leave, and then you re-queue. The point is, you don't want to be locked to the same map whenever you queue up, because it's a pain in the ass to queue up a mission, get your contract done, get out, and then re-queue for another type of map, finish your contract, queue up for a different map, and repeat that, because it's a waste of fucking time. Now, if it wasn't so specific, one, we would get to play maps that we enjoyed more, because frankly, I fucking hate Hell Tower. Hell Tower kind of sucks. So does the Marasmus map, but that's only because it lasts so fucking long, because the jackass spawns every 2 minutes. And it would let us experiment more. It would give us more characters to play, because I can do all my challenges as Pyro, right? And Scream Fortress gets a lot of new players in. Alright, I can tell you that much. Like, when Scream Fortress came out, not even a week after, right? I'm talking probably a week or so, it hit 59,000 players, right? 82,000 players on October 11th, or October 12th. Yeah, October 11th at 4 p.m. It hit 82,000 players, when in September, you were averaging like 50,000, give or take. August we had a lot, and September it started going up and down, but in October we've had more players. It is pulling in more players, but then it kind of does this little shitty thing where we have a bunch of players and then it tanks because the contracts suck, right? Yeah. It just sucks. Sorry, I've decided to read my Discord, and because they're popping off, and they're asking if I'm a diabetic for some fucking reason. Yes, I'm a diabetic, Edo, if you're seeing this. Granted, fuck you. With that being said, sorry, I side tangent, I know I shouldn't have, but I don't care. Scream Fortress brings in a lot of players. And then you have contracts. Do contracts, that makes it to where players play specific maps. But it'd be a hell of a lot better if we expanded contracts from like an easy, medium, hard, extreme difficulties, where it's introducing the classes, especially because it brings in players. So instead of it being play this map, do this objective, it's play this character, try these things out, and see what you enjoy. It would make it to where Team Fortress 2 would, you know, have a higher population if we just had challenges that players could play. And instead of having it be a random Halloween item, right? It could be a class-specific Halloween item, like, say, the Scarecrow thing for Spy, which for some reason isn't Halloween exclusive, when there are other headgears that should be 100% Halloween exclusive that are not, or are Halloween exclusive that shouldn't be, when the Scarecrow 100% should be fucking Halloween exclusive. But that's a tangent for another day. This is about contracts, not Halloween restricted items. Shouldn't be Halloween restricted, but fuck that. It would get more players into the game than not. And that's a good thing, because Team Fortress 2 is 18 years old and free to play. And if we just, you know, take care of the fucking game, it will survive longer than Overwatch 2, even though Overwatch 2 already has mostly negative reviews and is frankly going down the shitter. I'm not playing Overwatch 2 now, am I? I'm playing fucking Team Fortress. There's a fraction of the characters, but goddamn, tell me why all the Team Fortress 2 characters have more personality than the fucking Overwatch ones. Okay, Pyro doesn't have much of a personality, but it's the whole Boba Fett thing. It's like, oh, he's a badass because nobody knows what the fuck he looks like. And then they made Book of Boba Fett, which I liked. Fuck you. Anyways, I feel like I'm gonna go on too much of a tangent here. So with this being said, I've shown my cards on contracts. I want to know your guys' opinions on contracts and how they can be changed and all that jazz. To see you guys in the next one. Don't forget to like, subscribe, do all that jazz, and I don't know, go kiss your mother for me. I don't fucking know. Deuces, lads. Happy Halloween.